I think so, hopefully.
Hello, Fuse Nation. This is Alex Fuse. This is the third live Feuzion News episode of the day, and it will be the last until tomorrow. I am joined right now by Kaitlyn Ross. We'll be talking some excitement in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, the Falcons making the Super Bowl, and some of the terrible events that have happened in Albany, Georgia over the past few days with all the tornadoes and terrible weather conditions there. So, Kaitlyn, I want to welcome you on my show tonight, and how are things down there in Georgia?
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be on your show. I appreciate being invited.
Mm-hmm.
Things are a little rough right now in the southern parts of Georgia. We had two really devastating tornadoes in Albany, Georgia. Not Albany, New York, but I know how to pronounce the city. And so it's about 3 hours from Atlanta. So we went down there yesterday just to cover the devastation and see what we could do to get help to people there who really needed it. There were communities that were just totally destroyed. So it's a rough time there, but we just got back to Atlanta. We just pulled back into the news station parking lot. So this is really perfect timing.
Yeah. So, there has been a very exciting past few weeks in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, the Falcons making the Super Bowl and taking on the fan favorite here in upstate New York, the New England Patriots. So,
drama.
Yeah, I know. So, Kaitlyn, what's the excitement like there in Atlanta?
Oh, it is crazy here. It is unbelievably exciting. And I don't even know that you can describe it well enough, just because this team ended up being so good. It was so unexpected. They went so far and with so much heart, and people here are elated. It's when you are around town, and Atlanta is a very big city, it's all people are talking about. Everybody is so excited for the Super Bowl, and I'm very interested to talk to you because I think the perception is very different in the Northeast than it is here in the South.
Yeah, and I think everyone up here are kind of like, here comes the New England Patriots winning the Super Bowl. But do you think that fans are optimistic, and does everyone seem like the Falcons are going to be hands down the next Super Bowl champions?
I don't think it's a hands-down situation. Okay. I think it's a let's root for the underdog situation.
Okay.
But it really is something where the fans here and the team here has a lot of heart, and they certainly think there's a chance. It's not like, oh, New England is going to crush us and we don't have a possibility. It really is like, let's do this, and we can do this. There's a chance we can do this. There's a lot of op-eds being written right now about people saying, you guys are underestimating us. You don't know what we're going to be able to do. Our offense is amazing. Like, we've got Matty Ice, who is just so cool under pressure, and he's going to bring it. So I think people, as excited as they are about the Super Bowl, I think they're equally as offended by the fact that people are underestimating the Falcons so much.
So do you feel like this Falcons team can defeat the New England Patriots?
Oh, heck yeah! Absolutely. I absolutely do. And I will admit to you right now that I am the president of the bandwagon, because I'm actually a Giants fan. I know. Gotta have some hometown loyalty.
Yeah.
But, living here, and when I lived in Jacksonville, I was a Jaguars fan. You gotta root for the team that you live in the town of. So I am definitely rooting for the Falcons, and I really think they've got a shot. I really do.
Okay. Well, of course, also today, Donald Trump announced the plan to create the wall and other news, and he's tweeting right now as we speak, and hopefully he's tweeting about my show. Maybe it'll go viral. Who knows?
And tweet about your show.
Yeah,
absolutely should.
Then we will both be famous, right?
Super famous.
Yeah. So I had to ask you, with this wall, what's the feel like in Atlanta, Georgia? Do people like the President of the United States down there in Georgia? Here in upstate New York, there have been a lot of Trump supporters, but more downstate, it's been negative towards our president now. So I had to ask you, what kind of excitement is down there for our president right now?
I think like much of the country, it's very divided. We have people who are very passionate supporters of him. We have people who are very vocal critics. And I think that you see that reflected in the vote. And there were a lot of counties here who went for Hillary Clinton. There were a lot of counties that went for Donald Trump. It's definitely something people are still talking about. Much like most of the country, the election is still one of the hottest topics of conversation. And I think you clearly see a nation divided right now. That's what a lot of our coverage focuses on is, especially because of the access that he gives people to his thoughts by tweeting all of the time. We do a lot of stories focused on reaction, and as a journalist, you focus on both sides of that reaction. So you find people who support what he's saying, and you find people who are critical of what he's saying. So I think that there are plenty of voices on both sides of the aisle right now.
So you are, obviously a part of the news organization, and you guys are basically reporting on tweets every single night. Is that different for you? Because I know this is the most vocal our president in the United States history has ever been, especially on social media now in this day and age. So is it kind of, humorous to you to be like reading off these 10, 15 tweets that the president of the United States tweeted out today?
It's definitely a different type of reporting, and I think you see more in the national media the conversation about how you're going to report on what he's saying on Twitter. But for us, in terms of a local standpoint, we really report on it when it's something that impacts us locally. So in terms of the immigration executive order that he just signed, we sent a reporter to a town in Georgia called Clarkston, which is one of the most diverse cities in the country. They accept a lot of refugees. And so today we localized that story by going to speak to their mayor and talk about the impact that refugees have had on their community in a very positive way, and then juxtapose that with the executive order that would change some of that resettlement. But, I think that the president's tweets reflect a very different age in journalism. It's a very different business than it used to be. I work with a lot of reporters who've been in the business for 30 years who did all of their reporting without a cell phone, without a Facebook page, without a Twitter account. They were in the phone book looking up people's phone numbers and knocking on doors and having more conversations face to face. And I think that his style of communication is more reflective of the general style of communication now. We, as a younger generation, are much more attuned to having those conversations on social media. I mean, we connected through Twitter. So that's how people find each other now. Yeah. So I think that he's reflective of the country's communication style.
Definitely, we'll switch gears now and talk a little about your career. And I have to ask you, what made you want to get into this career of journalism?
I have always loved watching the news. I watched the news as a very young child, which I think my parents always thought was really weird, but to me it was appointment viewing. I really wanted to know what was going on, and I wanted to know it first. And when I got into high school, I actually did the morning announcements. And I got such a kick out of that. I loved kind of reporting on people's lives in just my high school. All right, tell me about your swim practice. And why is it special? And why is it important? What's going on after school? And who's going to win the class president election? I just really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the process of telling someone else's story. And I always knew, really, since I realized I had to pick a major in college and go do something specific, it's what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be a journalist in some respect. Being a television journalist was something that came a little bit later after I was in Syracuse, and I had to specify if I was going to be a magazine journalist or a radio journalist or a print journalist. I decided to do television because I love the visual medium. But I think no matter what I was going to do, I knew I wanted to be in journalism.
So you went to Syracuse?
Yeah, SU.
Yeah, so it's about 2 hours away from Albany, right here in upstate New York. So, what do you like most about attending the school of Syracuse?
I love Syracuse. It's a fantastic school. It's a really great community. The professors were amazing. We had really well-seasoned, very good professors who really cared about their students. Once we specified a major, our class size was really small enough to get to enjoy everything that our professors had to offer in a really small setting. So I loved it. I thought it was great. The only thing that was not great was the weather, which is why I live in the South now.
Yeah, that's definitely been, looking at the school of Tampa, trying to get out of winter weather. So, I've been, junior year in high school, I'm looking all over the place right now. So
what an exciting time for you, though. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
do you want to do journalism as you move on?
Yeah, I would love to, go into this career. I think I just want to go into news right now and maybe do TV, communications. That's the major
Very
one.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I think you'll find it to be a rewarding and exciting career. I very much like it.
Yeah, so, we talk about the highlights of our careers as well, and I have to ask you, this is my favorite question. What is your most embarrassing moment on live TV?
Oh, it's such a doozy for you. So, when I was reporting in Albany, New York, they brought this traveling exhibition to the museum there. It was called Walking with Dinosaurs, and it was an interactive museum exhibit where it sounds really corny, but it was super realistic. People would dress in dinosaur costumes, but like realistic dinosaur costumes, and they would make the same noises that the dinosaurs would have made. And so I was on the morning show, and I was doing an interview with the curator, and they had two of these dinosaurs in the background, and the one guy was like, in his regular voice, not his dinosaur voice, was like, all right, I'm just going to hop around a little bit, and once you start getting into the conversation, we'll have a little bit of fun with it. So I said, cool, all right, I'm going to anticipate you being in the background. And so the anchor tosses to me out in the field, and I didn't even say good morning, did not even get the words out of my mouth, and this dinosaur lunges at me and makes the dinosaur sound. And I scream and try and run, because that's what you do when you're confronted with a dinosaur. And I was still tethered to the equipment, so it jerked me back, and I almost fell down. And then had to somehow play it off because we were on live television. No, I didn't just scream like a little girl and run away from a fake dinosaur. No, I'm fine.
Oh, wow. So
that was definitely the most embarrassing but hilarious moment.
So what did the anchor say about that we're in the studio?
Oh, they just laughed. They laughed hysterically. And it was great. I mean, it was a lot of fun. And I think that, if you go into TV news, you'll learn too. You just have to laugh at yourself. You can't take it. Obviously, the stories that you present are very serious, but at the end of the day, you're not the story as a journalist. You're part of the story. You might be the vehicle for the story, but it's not about you. And so when something like that happens, you just gotta laugh it off. It's funny. It's ridiculous. It still lives on YouTube, so it's always gonna be there. But yeah, that was definitely the most embarrassing moment.
So now I have to go find that YouTube clip, right?
No, it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. You will laugh out loud and be embarrassed for me, I think.
Well, Kaitlyn, I hope the Atlanta Falcons don't get beat too much by the New England Patriots.
Smack. You call me back when the Atlanta Falcons win.
Okay.
We'll talk again, sir.
Okay, well, you are now officially on Feuzion News the week after the Super Bowl to talk about what happens, okay?
It is a date.
Okay.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the best of luck in your career. You have a very nice podcast. I
Thank you.
Being part of it.
Now, where can the fans follow you on Twitter and read your articles?
So I'm Kaitlyn Ross, the number 1 on Twitter, and on Facebook, it's Kaitlyn Ross 11 Alive.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kaitlyn, for coming on tonight, and I'm looking forward to talking the Super Bowl in just a few weeks.
When we are the champions here in Atlanta.
I think the upstate New York has a better shot. We'll see what happens.
We will see, my friend. We will see.
Thank you, Kaitlyn.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, Fuse Nation, I just wrapped up that Feuzion News interview. I'm back here tomorrow night with Jerry Krasnick, ESPN MLB.com reporter. We'll be breaking down the MLB offseason, and we are just a few weeks away from spring training. Can you believe it, folks? A few weeks away. Going to be a great show tomorrow. Fuse Nation, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching. Always be a subscriber of Feuzion News. Let's get to 500. Let's do it. Like the video, comment below what you thought about the show, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.